Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Okay, so first off, let me put a disclaimer here. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a counselor. I just have a little bit of experience with being a wife, and I am going to be basing most of these principles off of what I have learned and through scripture. Because I am a Christian, this is how I base our marriage and the way that I act towards my husband. So I have 20 things that I wanted to share with you guys. There are tons more of how you can love your husband or be a better wife, but these are just kind of like my top ones that I try to focus on. First one is saying please and thank you. I think that when we are trying to impress somebody, we always say please and thank you, you're welcome, like the really nice things. And as we get used to each other, we quit saying those things. And it kind of just means that you just don't appreciate them as much. So that is one thing that I try to do with my husband, is when I ask him to do something, saying please and thank you whenever he actually does something. Not that he doesn't do stuff often, but I don't know, just the simple things. If he opens the car door for me, thank you. Or if he changes the baby's diaper and I didn't have to ask him, or even if I did ask him to do that, just a simple thank you, guys. That makes them feel appreciated and, can go a long ways, that simple thing. All right, so the next thing is being willing to say I'm sorry. And that was actually in my wedding vows, was being willing to say I'm sorry and meaning it. I know a lot of times that we accidentally do things and or maybe you even did it on purpose, but I'm sorry goes a long ways too. Don't think that it's always going to get you out of something. I'm sorry does not guarantee forgiveness, so you may want to say please forgive me instead of I'm sorry. But change your actions with whatever you are saying sorry for. I'm sorry goes a long ways, and don't be afraid to say it because it can really make a difference. Okay, so another thing that I think is important that we practice in our marriage is having supper together. So at least 3 to 4 times a week we have supper together. There's some times that I am gone at supper time or he gets home late and we're not able to do that, but we make it a priority to have supper together at least 3 to 4 times a week. And at supper, we talk about our day and we just spend time as a family. And I think that it's really good for our children to see that as well. Okay, so one thing that we do at supper time is we try, or at least I try, and it doesn't happen all the time, but to either put my phone on vibrate or in another room so that time is solely based on us as a family. And another tip that I have, which is kind of goes along with that, is to talk about your day. So that's usually our time to talk about our day. It may change as our kids get older. I don't know, if we will be very open or as open at the supper table with our days, if maybe we don't want our kids to understand or hear that. So as of right now, that's usually when we talk about our day, and then we will also talk about our day after the kids have gone to bed. So that is something that I really feel like just kind of keeps you connected with each other. You kind of know what's going on with each other's lives, and keeps that bond together. All right, so another thing, and I think this makes it easier on you, is if you ask your spouse what top 3 things he would like for you to do during that day. And even my husband has asked me that. You kind of get rid of those expectations that you've kind of dreamed up in your head, where your husband expects your house to be spotless, or all of the dishes to be done, and the laundry to be done, and the kids to be fed and put to bed by themselves. So when I asked my husband what 3 things he would like for me to do each day, one was he always empties out the dishwasher. So one, he said, I would like for you to load the dishwasher before I get home, with any dishes that you've used throughout the day. And then he said to kind of pick up around the house. So he didn't even have 3 things for me to do. So you might be surprised if you ask your spouse what top 3 things he would like for you to do each day, that he might actually have a hard time giving you 3 things, or those 3 things may not be something that you really expected from him. So I think that that's a great idea to kind of like hit the top 3 things that your spouse kind of would like to have done, and then, you know, if you don't get to the other things, no big deal, because you guys have already talked about it and you don't really have as many expectations and the standards aren't as high for you. So it's a little bit of a, what do you call it? A release. So you don't have to have so much pressure on you. So another thing that I think kind of helps you to be a good wife and to have a good marriage, I'm not really sure what I'm going to call this video yet. I think it's going to be more like a good marriage, but is to send texts throughout the day. So we live in a world now that we are able to send texts and just kind of check them at our convenience. That's one thing that I miss throughout the day, because I don't feel connected to my spouse or to Brian, my spouse, my husband. I don't really feel as connected to him if I haven't at least touched base with him throughout the day. Like if the last time we talked was when he left for work, and you know, we're not going to talk again until he gets home from work, that's 8 hours or more that we haven't talked at all. So I think sending a few texts throughout the day, just, hey, how's your day going? Just wanted you to know I miss you, I love you. Just a simple text, just to kind of touch base with each other and just kind of stay connected throughout the day. I think that that is a great idea to kind of keep that connection and that bond going. Okay, so this one is a little bit harder if you do have kids, but that is to plan a date night at least once every quarter. And this is without the kids. So we sometimes will have a date night, you know, with the kids, and we kind of go out as a family, and that's fun, but it's really nice to reconnect as a couple and just kind of get away from the kids. Try not to talk about your kids too much, because you want to use this time to really bond and connect with each other, to learn more about each other, and just to have a good time and just kind of forget about the stresses for a little while. So plan a date night. It could be something that you both want to do, you want to try. There's been times where we had my parents just come get the kids and we just spent the day at the house, which was really nice. There was no pressure to buy anything, to spend any money, and we kind of just got to relax. We weren't having to change diapers or worry about one of them waking up. So that was really nice. Okay, so tip number 8 is to learn their love language. If you've never read the book, The 5 Love Languages, I highly recommend you reading this. Even if you can't read the book, you can go online to 5lovelanguages.com and take a test and have your spouse take the test. But this pretty much just gives you the answers of how to love your spouse. My love language is quality time, so I feel most loved when Brian and I spend quality time together. Okay, that's just how I receive love the best. Brian's love language is words of affirmation. So he likes to hear he's done a good job, or he looks good, or how much I love him, things like that. And that's how he receives love the best. So you may have 2 different love languages, and if you don't know what their love language is, it's going to be really hard for you to speak their love language. So I highly recommend you going to that website, and I'll put it down below in the description box, or reading the book, because it's really helpful. Alright guys, we are going to get into the nitty-gritty stuff just a little bit here. Another one, which is tip number 9, is to set a budget and be open freely about it. I know that a lot of people have different bank accounts. My husband and I do not. Our name is on the same bank account. He makes a lot more money than I do. I have a home business, so I'm able to supplement some of the income that I am not making by staying at home, so it's kind of helpful. But we try to talk about our budget the end of every month, and we set it up for the next month. We talk about it, we tell each other, you know, what do you need next month? This is what I need next month, and we make it fit into our budget. Some things have to wait, some things are a little bit more important, but I feel like when you get married, you become one together, and having different bank accounts does not represent a oneness throughout your marriage. Now, if you have somebody within the marriage that has really bad financial tendencies, maybe a gambling problem, or you're just not that good with money, If you guys talk about it and decide together that, you know, it's best for one person to see the finances, I understand that, but I do feel like in most cases it is best for you guys to put your money together, to share it, to set a budget together, and to talk about it freely, because one of the most controversial things in a marriage is money. And that is one thing that, even though we've had a great marriage so far, and we're going on 5 years of marriage, 6 years of being together, our number one thing that we disagree on, or not even really disagree on, but have some type of upset within our marriage, was usually about money. And it's most of the time more's going out than coming in. So but when we set that budget and we talk about it freely, I feel like it not only helps us financially, but it helps our relationship too, because we trust each other, we depend on each other, and we know what is being spent, and we kind of just, that's another thing that we make a decision on together. Okay, and I forgot what tip that I'm on right now, but this next tip is dream together and share your dreams together. I think that people think when they get married sometimes that they're not allowed to advance at work or do something different, or some people think that if you share your dreams that means that your spouse is going to want to do that right now, things like that. So that's not the case. I think that it's great to say, hey, one day I would love to live here, or work here, or get this degree, or whatever that is. Or you dream together, hey, I would love to have more kids for us, or I would love for us to be able to take this vacation, or go to this country, or whatever it is. Dream together, you guys, because that's what you did before you started getting married, or while you were dating. You were dreaming about getting married one day, and you did that together. And then maybe you dreamed about having kids together, and where you were going to live and things like that. And when we quit dreaming together, then we're just kind of growing apart, and it's very sad. Another one is to learn and share with each other. So I love to listen to podcasts, and so does my husband, and it's really fun to come home at the end of the day when we're doing our how was your day, or what'd you do, and all that stuff at the dinner table, to share what we've learned for the day. So whether it's something I learned in a podcast or something I learned about my business, I just love to, it's so much fun to talk about what you've learned, and it's another thing to listen to your spouse and hear what they've learned for the day too. So I always think that it's a great idea to continue to learn and just to share that with your spouse, so that you guys are learning and growing together. I'm not always fond of going back in the past, but sometimes it's fun to reminisce about good times that you had with each other. Just to remember the fun times that you had, the good times, and just to kind of like meditate on those. So I love to bring up, you know, when Brian and I first started dating, or when we were kind of flirting before he asked me to be his girlfriend, things like that. It's just a lot of fun to just remember those feelings, because when you get married, that first stage of dating and then after you get married are sometimes completely different. You don't always get that giddy feeling again. Your love matures, and it's based off of intentions and actions versus the actual like a feeling. So sometimes it's really nice though to go back and just remember how you felt at those first moments, talk about it, and reminisce with each other. All right, so this one is kind of important, and it is be specific when you need something. I'm very bad about just thinking that Brian will read my mind, or my actions will kind of show him, you know, you need to do this. Guys, people just don't get it sometimes. So you have to be direct and specific at what you need. If you need them to show you love in your love language, tell them, okay, I really want to spend quality time with you because I feel alone. or tell them, I really need some help with the kids tonight because I've got to do this project, or whatever it is. Be specific. Don't just leave them guessing. Don't think that they are going to know exactly what you're talking about just because you hinted at it, or they should know. That's not always the case, you guys. So be specific when you need something. Another one is to do devotions together. Now, I am a Christian, so this is something that we feel like is very needed within our marriage to keep that oneness together, because we believe that the closer we get to God, the closer we get to each other. So for an example, like if a pyramid is like this, God is at the tip of the pyramid and we are at the bottom. So as we get closer to God, we get closer to each other. So one of the ways we do that is to do devotions together. And I love this. We actually have a devotions journal that's a weekly devotions. And we don't do it every single week. Sometimes we'll do like a splurge where we'll do it like 2 or 3 nights in a row, and then we kind of get away from it for a couple of weeks, and then we kind of go back and forth with that. So it's not something that you have to do every week or every night, because I know things get busy. I do think that you need to have your one-on-one time with Christ and God, and in your faith and prayer and meditation. But to experience that with your spouse, I think, is just another level of closeness that you can experience with them. So for our devotions, we always like read through the devotion, and then we have like a discussion afterwards. So what did you think about that? Or how could I do better in this area? Or what are your thoughts? So I love that because it's another time that we get to connect with each other, learn more about each other, and to grow closer to God and each other. So this one is very biblical, so this may step on a few toes, but I feel like it's a necessity, and it also can give you a lot of release from pressure. So that is to learn your role as a spouse. The Bible is very specific on what a woman is supposed to do and what a man is supposed to do. A man is supposed to love his wife just like Christ loved the church and is willing to die for her. So that's a big step in itself. And men, if you're watching this, that's how you need to be treating your wife. There you go. And then women, we are supposed to be submissive to our husband as we are submissive to Christ. Does that mean that you have to do everything for him and be his handmaid? No, you guys. I think that everybody takes that out of context, and it's just like we live in this world now where women think that they are supposed to be equal to men, and that's not how it's supposed to be. We're not supposed to be in competition with them, especially in our roles as wives. We're not trying to be better than the other. We are supposed to work as a team. And just like I used to play basketball, so I could not play point guard or forward. I don't know what a lot of people call it, but we called it point guard. I could not play wing and post all at the same time. Like, we worked together as a team. We each had our role, and that's how the marriage is supposed to be. So when you learn your role as a spouse, it's a lot easier. It takes the pressure off of you. You don't have to worry about trying to be somebody that you're not supposed to be. So for us, that looks like Brian is the head of the household, and he kind of has like that stamp on our final decision, but that doesn't mean that I don't have a say-so in our marriage. He takes my opinion and my words, and he asks for my advice. Doesn't mean that I'm not able to give advice or to teach him. That's not what that means at all. But it just means that I am there to love him and support him, and we do our roles so that we can work together as a team and get things done in a better way. So another one is, this one's simple, and then this can be super hard too, depending on how your marriage is, but have fun together, try new things. I know that when we schedule our date nights, sometimes I am just about, like I said, a quality time girl. So, and Brian is more like words of affirmation. I love to go out and have friends around me and big family events. Brian loves to stay at home and have his routine. So we kind of try to meet in the middle and try to do stuff that both of us enjoy. He loves fitness, as do I. So one of our date nights, we went to a rock climbing gym, which was so much fun, and we love that. Lately, we've been having game night almost every single night where we just sit down and play cards together, and I feel like that is fun for us. So that's his, where he likes to stay home and keep to his routine, and then mine, where we kind of go out. So doing stuff that each other enjoys and having fun together. I think that a lot of people just kind of like, they get married and then they kind of go in their own ways, which is silly because you're supposed to be together. Not that you should never like go out and have a girls' night, or he shouldn't be able to hang out with his friends every now and then, but the majority of your time is spent together, so make it fun. Okay, so another one that I think is just simple but can mean a lot, and that's holding hands in public. I know, so cliche, but it just kind of like makes you proud. This is your spouse. This is somebody that chose you and you chose them to spend the rest of your life with. So when you're holding hands in public, I think that that is just a way of showing the world, you know, we love each other, we're proud of each other, and I am excited to be near this person enough that I want to hold their hand. So, and then if your love language is touch, that's another way to knock that one out of the park. Okay, I just have 3 more tips, and one of them is to talk good about your spouse in public. I cannot tell you how many times I have heard a woman bashing her husband or a man bashing his wife. And that is so unattractive, you guys, and can really, really hurt your marriage. So talk good about your spouse in public, praise them, and it's gonna get back to them, whether it's good or bad. So you would rather it be the good that you see in them so that they can, you know, trust you with whatever they feel that they need to say, and not feel like that you are disrespecting them in person or in public. So talk good about your spouse. I mean, it's very simple. Sometimes we just need to be intentional about it. The second to last one is to forgive every day. And that can be kind of hard depending on what your spouse has done. But every day requires some type of forgiveness for your spouse, because your spouse is not perfect. You're not perfect. So learn to forgive yourself every day, and then also forgive your spouse. If he didn't put the clothes away like you asked him to do, it's a new day, start over. Learn to forgive. If he didn't make your appointment on time, or I don't know, he spent money that he wasn't supposed to spend and didn't ask you or talk to you, or whatever it is. I'm not saying that you should totally forget about everything and not set standards, but you do have to learn to let some things go and just forgive. That's what we got to do, because you're going to need forgiveness too when it comes down to it, because every single day we make mistakes and we mess up. So we need forgiveness, and we need to learn how to forgive. And then my last tip is to always say I love you before you leave each other or before hanging up the phone. I think like my worst fear is to have something happen to me or to my husband and I didn't say I love you. Like, I just feel like, even though I feel like love is still based off of actions, those words, like, if that was anything ever happened to me, like, I want him to know that I love him. I don't care how mad I am at him, what's gone on through the day. Like, when I hang up the phone, I want to say I love you, and whenever I leave his presence, I want to say I love you. So I feel like that's a good way to end that time together and prolong the time that you are away from each other until you see each other again. So you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little bit different than what I have done before, but I just have a heart and a passion for marriages. So many have fallen apart, and it's like a 50% divorce rate right now. Some of them are my really closest friends and family, and some that I just hear about. And I feel like marriage must be intentional. It doesn't just happen. You can't just float by and have a good marriage. That's not how it works. So you have to be intentional, and I hope some of these tips help get you back to a good marriage or keep your marriage good. If you haven't already, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button down below. Give this video a thumbs up and let me know in the comment section below which one was your favorite tip. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.